I'm really amazed and very pleased that so many of you are still here. You haven't got fed up yet. You know, amazingly, that sometimes that does happen. Whatever you're doing in life, sometimes we don't give it enough time to really work. And sometimes, because of impatience, we think, oh no, it's not working. Often it is working, it just takes a little bit of time. And one of those examples I was given when I was a young meditator, I was told that one day this teacher, he was given some seeds to plant in the garden, about 6 seeds. And he planted those 6 seeds in the garden. His father said it takes time for the seeds to germinate and grow. And so you have to be patient. But even though you don't see any progress, please make sure that you plant or that you water the seeds once a day. So the little boy, that's what he did. He got the watering can and he watered the garden in the 6 places he had planted those seeds. And after 3 or 4 days, nothing was happening. He looked at those places, they were the same as they were before. And he got very sort of discouraged. He told the father who gave him those seeds, your advice is not working. They're not growing. They probably died. His father said, no, listen. Those little seeds, they've germinated under the soil. They're probably even now pushing little green shoots up towards the surface of the ground. You just have to wait a little longer. So he trusted his father, waited a bit longer. Then another 2 or 3 days, he saw these little green shoots coming on the surface of the ground. His father's advice was correct. And so he started seeing his plants starting to grow, but so slowly. So then he decided, well, maybe I'll water them twice a day. So he watered them twice a day. And still those plants were growing so slowly. They're only about a couple of inches above the ground. Then the kid had this wonderful idea to make them grow faster. He decided to grab hold of their tops and stretch them. And each one was pulled out of the ground and killed. He said, that's not the way to grow plants. That's not the way to grow peace and wisdom of meditation. It's sometimes a long process, and sometimes you don't realize how much progress is actually made. And sometimes the way to find if you've made progress, which I've often told you, is to ask your friends, or if you've got a family, your children. The children are great in assessing how deep and how peaceful you've become. And that's one of the reasons why. I don't know how many of those stories I've told you, but there was one which I always liked, of this man who wanted to go just on a weekend retreat, not a long retreat, just for a weekend. And he asked his wife, there's a weekend retreat coming next week, can I go? And his wife said, of course not. You know, so many things to do on the weekend. I need your help. We've got to tidy up the garage, look after the kids, go and do the shopping, tidy this up. There's so many things we have to do. Of course you can't go. And the husband was very smart. He said, okay. So he didn't go on the retreat. He helped his wife. The next time the next retreat came, he asked again, darling, can I go on a meditation retreat this weekend? No! Mother's coming to visit. We've got to look after the children. You've got to go and get that extra shopping. You've got to fix that door which keeps squeaking. Of course you can't go. There's too much to do. Okay. He was a very smart husband. He never argued. There's another way, All those husbands here, people who've got wives, you find it sometimes difficult to get some free time. This is how it's done. So he asked again, another couple of weeks when there was another weekend retreat, can I go on a retreat? And the wife just was really fed up with her husband keeping on asking. So she said, okay, you go on your stupid retreat. I'll stay here and look after the kids and do all the work. He took that as a yes. So off he went on his retreat. And just after 2 or 3 days, when he came back, he was a wonderful husband. The retreat, even just for 2 or 3 days, changes you. You become kinder, more peaceful, more helpful. And she was surprised. And she liked the result so much that he never needed to ask the next time there was a retreat on. She gave him the money and sent him off. Off you go, on your retreat. It was a nice investment. It's like your car, the vehicle you drive. Don't you have to send it for a service every now and again? That's like sending your husband for a service. A tune-up. Send it to the monastery or whatever, the temple for a weekend retreat. The same with the wife as well. And the wonder people who always remember that or know that are the children. And that's a story which I love telling you also. Over in Perth, one of the women came just on the evening meditation. And when I saw her, oh, nice to see you here. And she actually told me, I never felt like coming today. Very busy at work. You know sometimes how important the work is. And that's where you make the money to pay all the bills. I said, I was so busy at work. When I came home, I just said, I just need a rest. And my kids told me, Mummy, you must go to meditation tonight. And I kind of thought, I was a bit suspicious. What do my children do when I'm over at meditation? The kids said, no, Mum, we really want you to go. Why, children? And that's when the children said, because, Mummy, you are such a nice mummy when you come home from meditation. Much, much nicer. That's why we want you to go to meditation tonight. I understand how true that is. A little bit of peace, a little bit of happiness, a little bit of joy. It inspires you so much. You're so much nicer to the children you live with. It's not like you're not nice to them, but sometimes you get tired. Sometimes just to see things in a different way. That's all one really needs, that insight and that peace. And the kids know it. That's why it's great for them. And it's also teaches them. They see in your behavior change how much better it is when you do some meditation. Even just a little bit helps enormously. So because of that, to find out how your progress is going, don't try and assess it for yourself. Ask the people you live with, the people you know. And the other part is your work, wherever you do your work. I'm not quite sure what jobs you have. If it's like writing reports, or you have to sum up the bills, you're an accountant, or you're just like a person who cleans the house. Whatever it is, you find your house is cleaned so much better, so much more efficiency, without any bad will towards anyone. That's what happens when you're at peace and your mind is not so defensive. Why you can actually not just practice loving kindness meditation, may all things be happy and well, when you actually do it. And it's amazing how powerful that is. I know one time, some of the prisoners I used to teach, I liked teaching prisoners simply because there was an honesty about them and they were in a wonderful position to actually do my experiments for me. This is what I meant. That once there was talking to my prisoners, teaching them loving kindness meditation. They objected. They said, look, Ajahn Brahm, we really respect you, but loving kindness meditation is easy to do in a monastery. People respect that. But this is a prison. If you practice loving kindness here, you get beaten up. And I said, I don't agree with you. I take this as a challenge. So I asked one of the leading prisoners there, who is the person who is the most nasty to you in this jail? Who is the person it's almost impossible to give loving kindness to? Who is basically your enemy? He never hesitated, straight away said, this prison officer. He's a real BAS, no, you know the rest of the words. He's a terrible person. I said, what do you mean? Give me some examples. And he said about one of the prisoners there, Karnet prison farm, a bit further into the forest than our monastery. It's a very remote location. They don't have any public transport up there. You either have to get your own transport or get a friend to help you. He said one of these prisoners one day, his wife managed to get a friend to take her to the prison farm so she could visit her husband. One of the prison officers, this prisoner hated, this prison officer saw the wife of this prisoner arrive. And before he could do all the checking in to register to visit, he said to this prisoner, I need a job being done. Can you please go to the other side of the prison farm, about 2 kilometers, where there was no PA system? Can you please go over there to do some work? So off this prisoner went. And then once his wife had checked in, then the word came over the PA system in the central area where the visitors were allowed. Will prisoner so-and-so please come to the visitors' quarters? You have a visitor. The prison officer knew this man would not hear. He was so far away. So they waited for a while, they repeated the message so many times. But because he was on the other side of the prison farm, he could not hear. And at the end of the visiting period, he finally heard his wife had managed to get to the farm for a visit. But the visiting hours were up. So the wife had to go home without visiting her husband. And the husband knew that his wife had come, but he wasn't told. In the other end of the farm. He said, that's what this guy is like. He doesn't have to do that. He just does it because he's mean and nasty. And so I said, great, we have a contest here. And I said, I want you, this prisoner he had the job. He was a very smart prisoner. And his job was actually looking after these senior prison officers, giving them tea and biscuits and stuff, looking after them in the mornings and afternoons. So he accepted the challenge. I want you to find out exactly what type of tea or coffee, whether you like sugar or honey or milk or oat milk or any other type of milk. Find out what he likes to eat. Don't just give him something, just find out what he likes the best, out of kindness. And he kept on saying to me, it's a waste of time, waste of time. Of course, it wasn't a waste of time, otherwise I wouldn't tell the story. I only tell the stories where it works. That's where it doesn't work. I keep quiet. So that's what he did. He got some nice coffee some morning. Got some nice coffee for you. I hope you enjoy it, sir. He said to this prison officer he hated. And then, what did the prison officer do? Absolutely nothing. It's like he wasn't there. Totally ignored him. Nice tea today, sir. I made it especially for you. Brewed it a bit longer for you because I think you like that. Prison officer never responded. It was like he just doesn't acknowledge the existence of prisoners. This went on week after week after week after week after week. And after a couple of months, we got our big breakthrough. He found some biscuits, and he offered a couple of these biscuits to the prison officer. I think you like these. I'm not sure, but anyway, please enjoy, sir. Let me know. And then the prison officer responded. Just a grunt. That was the first time he'd ever acknowledged the prisoner was actually in the world. He grunted at him. And when he told me that, I said, yes! It's only going to be a short time now once that crack is in the wall. And it was true. He found some cream to put in his coffee or something. And he gave it to the prison officer and said, I found some cream here. I hope you like it. And the prison officer actually turned around and said, thank you. And that, it's only a word, thank you. That was immense. The prison system in Western Australia and also some other prisons in Australia, they have their own grapevine. These messages get around very quickly. And this message got around the whole of the Australian prison system very quickly. This prison officer had said thank you to a prisoner. Unbelievable. Kindness actually works. And I love that story because it inspires other people to be kind. Even people who are like enemies. You don't want to be kind to them. You feel they don't deserve your kindness. Try it out. It may take a while, but after a while they can't resist. Words, actions, and even smiles of kindness. It encourages us to be kind in this world. I don't know what a person did, why they did it, but that's never an excuse for taking away my feelings of kindness towards them. And that's that loving kindness. That's how you find out whether it works or not. Is it just being a waste of time? May all beings be well and happy. Even when some of those people have been like terrorists, have actually killed and tortured people because they've been sick. Is that really worth taking away the kindness from them? I would always say absolutely not. That kindness is my privilege to be able to give to people who have even hurt me, who have hurt others. I will never refuse that kindness or not let it grow and be. That's one of the reasons we do loving kindness meditation. But a lot of times we do that loving kindness meditation at the end of the retreat. And that's what I'm doing here tomorrow morning. I do it at the end of the retreat because if you don't do it properly, you don't give it your full energy, it tends not to work so well. It takes away people's trust in the power of that kindness and how powerful that can be. I know the power of that kindness. Sometimes I mess around with that kindness to prove it to others. One evening in Perth, I was teaching the youth group, and after teaching the youth group, I went round, only a small walk around the corner of the street. Somebody wanted a quick blessing in their house, so I did that for them. And then I was walking back. I found the youth group in Western Australia the Buddhist youth group, they were messing around with their car. And I asked them, I thought you were going to the beach. It was a warm afternoon, not warm actually, very hot. And like many people, after they did the Saturday afternoon meditation and youth group at the Buddhist Centre in Perth, they were going just to enjoy each other's company at the beach. But unfortunately, they said, all of our stuff was in the car and the boot was locked, it was jammed, and no one could open it. So they were trying to wait around, trying to open the boot of their car. And as soon as one of these ladies saw me, she said to me, Ajahn Brahm, you've got all the powers. Can you use your loving kindness to open the boot of our car? We're stuck here. She almost said it as a joke. We've got to be very careful when you make jokes with monks like me. Because I looked at her and said, okay, they've been trying for over half an hour, 45 minutes to open the boot. No one could do it. So I said, I'll do it on one condition. My condition is, the lady's name, she was Indonesian, her name was Ronnie. I will open the boot of the car if you promise that if I succeed, you'll become a bhikkhuni, ordained as a nun. Serious. And she thought, Ajahn Brahm can't open the boot of this car. We've been trying for 45 minutes. It's impossible. So she said, okay. A bad reply. I took the key, put it in the lock, turned the lock, and opened the boot of the car. She said. I'd done it. Really easy. So according to her promise, she'd promised to become a bhikkhuni. One of the other people in the youth group, I wish this other lady wasn't there. She was a trainee lawyer. She said, well, yes, she promised to become a bhikkhuni. She never said when. And she shouted out, in my next life. She won the contest. So she didn't have to become a bhikkhuni. But she never asked me to do any special favours anymore. It was a bit of fun. And I like that joy and that happiness. A bit of fun. The number one showing that if you have loving kindness, it's amazing what that loving kindness can do. Even to objects. One of the other things which I was doing for years and years and years and years and years over in Australia, that I was one of the main builders of that monastery in Bodhinyana Monastery. And so I remember just being asked, can you please go and choose a cement mixer to mix up concrete and cement for laying bricks. So I got a cement mixer, not an expensive one, just an average one, with the monastery to pay for it. And it became also like Ajahn Brahm's cement mixer. And honestly, I got to know it so well that whenever I wanted to make it work, I put the sand, stones and cement in it, and you pull the cord to get the motor going. Every time I used it, it would work for me. Every time somebody else used it, they'd always have trouble making it work. So I told them, this is how you do it. And they followed my instructions, and honestly, it didn't work. They thought there was something wrong with it. And I said, leave it to me. And I did it, and I gave it some loving kindness. Honestly, even a machine gave it loving kindness. I pulled the string. It worked every time. It's kind of weird. Even machines respond to loving kindness. You try that. I don't know if you have whatever equipment you have in your house, whether it's a chainsaw, whether it's a washing machine. Sometimes, if it's your washing machine, please treat it kindly, and it will always work for you. That's what I've found. Do you agree with me? That's what I've found. Even machines respond, to kind handling. A person who looks after it makes sure it's always well oiled and cleaned and everything. So that loving kindness is so powerful. You always make sure you use it, especially for any machines which you want to use. Even, can I tell you all my tricks? Even when you go traveling on aircraft. Dear Boeing 737, please, I care for you. I know that people sometimes want you to go fast and want you to land softly. I care for you. Please have a safe trip, especially when I'm on it. Honestly. And sometimes you can do loving kindness to machines. I don't know how it works, but it does work. I remember also when I arrived at Oslo many, many years ago on an aircraft. The aircraft landed okay, but then when we checked out, went to the car park, and then the boom gates to let you out of the car park, they wouldn't open. There's a big queue starting to grow. So what do you do? What do I do if we're stuck behind the boom gate at the airport and it won't open, and the person who's supposed to maintain it wouldn't come for some reason or whatever? So I went up to the boom gate, started stroking it. I'm being honest. Dear boom gate, I started chanting, please, can you lift up for us? It's not just me, but it's many others. And I did the start of the Loving Kindness Sutta. Before I finished, it opened up. That was a very good start to my visit to Norway that year. They were kind of impressed. They, can you stay here? Because it often does this stupid boom gate. A lot of times, the kindness which you give to things and machines, I can't understand how that could actually make things work. But what I do understand is how there are things like heavenly beings. And those heavenly beings, let's give them a hand. And if those heavenly beings hang around you, they can help out a lot. I don't know why I got into this on this beginning talk today, because I wanted to teach you more about meditation, but have a bit of faith and trust. Sometimes when you're meditating, how are you doing? And all these days you've meditated, how many deep meditations have you experienced? You felt very still, very peaceful, quite happy. How can you take that further? Instead of taking it further, the reason why it's not working as fast as well as you expect is because there's something wrong. And that thing which is wrong is something which I try and counter with my simile of the 1,000-petaled lotus. We have a lotus pond outside. I look at it every time I come in here every day. And that lotus is a beautiful simile of Buddhism. You can see at night time, the lotus flower is usually closed up. And when the sun comes out, when the warmth and light of the sun hits the outermost layer of petals, it starts to open. And when the outermost layer of petals opens, the light and warmth of the sun can hit the next layer of petals, so they can open. And that reveals the third layer of petals, so they can receive the light and warmth of the sun, and they open. The lotus opens layer by layer by layer. And the light and warmth of the sun signify your mindfulness, the light, which illuminates things so you can see it clearly. The mindfulness and the warmth of the sun, your kindness. With mindfulness and kindness shining on this lotus, which is you, it opens up that lotus, stage by stage. And that was such a beautiful simile. I remember just going to Sri Lanka once. I've been there many times. And the president of Sri Lanka at the time, he got into trouble for many other things. But one thing which I was impressed by him, that he just got up in the morning, he has late nights. I just sometimes have late nights, but I still have early mornings. And so when he came into the big room, he yawned. He'd just woken up. And the first thing he said to me, I was quite stunned by it. He said, Ajahn Brahm, I am a failure. And at that time, he was really, really, really popular. And then he said he joined politics because he wanted to find a Buddhist, non-violent solution to the war with the Tamil Tigers. He said, I failed, I couldn't find one. And that was just only people in the room when he said that was him and me. Like a private confession. But anyhow, what really impressed me, and I think all the people looking after me, especially who make my breakfast for me, would appreciate this, that he served me breakfast, and they make a big point of serving with their own hand. You know what he gave me and put in my alms bowl? What food he got for me? Baked beans. How did he find out I like baked beans? So I was served baked beans by the president of Sri Lanka. I'm sure he should have been busy doing other things instead of serving a hungry monk baked beans. But anyway, that kind of impressed me. You know what baked beans are? If you don't know, I can bring you some tomorrow. But anyway, that when I started also talking to him about Buddhism, he was so impressed that he said, I think people with me said that I was going to give a talk that evening in BMICH, there's a Manoranaika Memorial International Convention Hall, about 5,000 or 6,000 people. And he said, is it being televised? I said, no, just a talk. He said, televise it. And when the president orders that, they have to do it. He never asked me, do you want it to be televised? If he said it, I had to do it anyway. And so anyway, there we go. And so I had to give a talk, and I said, okay, I'm going to give a talk on this 1,000-petal lotus. It's a great simile. And when I got to the hall, the TV crew who went there quickly said, look, this is live TV, not recorded. It will not be edited. So make sure you do it in time. And they said, we have 57 minutes. Not 56, not 58. If you haven't finished the talk, you'll be cut off. That's live TV. That's really, really strict. Could you give a talk just for 57 minutes, not 56, not 58? And not keep repeating yourself? Or not just get cut off when you haven't finished the story? There are times when I welcome challenges. Yeah, let's do it, see what happens. And when I gave that talk on the 1,000-petal lotus, it worked perfectly. I've got a lot of trust in abilities, in heavenly beings, other things to help me. And so this 1,000-petal lotus, similarly, was actually recorded live on Sri Lankan TV. And it is perfect timing. So, happiness, not sort of happiness, but through sort of kindness and mindfulness, you can open up this thing which you call your body and mind. And that helps understand what meditation is, and the wisdom as well. That happiness and kindness was so important that many years later, especially when I was in Hong Kong, I remember sort of saying, let's call it not just happiness and kindness, mindfulness and kindness. So we made a new word up, kindfulness. Kindfulness. Combination of mindfulness, but also that kindness as well, that caring. So I explained what that kindfulness means. And if you shine that on, what is the lotus? The lotus is you. Shine that on your body and mind. Be aware of your body and be kind to it. How do your legs feel right now? You're mindful. Be kind. If you need to move them, move them. If you need to scratch them, give them a scratch. Your body responds. The body feels you're working with it rather than against it. And we talk about training. Training is not working against your body. It's working with your body. So it can be peaceful enough to be able to sit meditation for long periods of time. Working with, not against. So I say, you're mindful and kind to your body. If you add that kindness, then the mindfulness is happy to stay with your body. If you've got a problem there, you say, I'm going to endure. I'm not going to give in. I am stronger than the ache which is in my knee. I am stronger than the little ant which is biting me. You know what I sometimes do when an ant bites me? I think, the ant's only a small little thing, it's tiny. If I just let it bite me, it's only going to take a tiny bit of my body, and we'll still have plenty left afterwards. In fact, if many ants come and bite me, I might actually lose some weight. You see some positive side in it. Like when a mosquito bites you. Unless you suffer from dengue fever before, a little mosquito bites you, it's a tiny bit of blood. Not much. You've got plenty left. So there was a time when a mosquito would land on me. I said, okay, you're in a lucky day today, I'm in a good mood, come on, have some food. You know what these mosquitoes do in Thailand anyway? They first of all do what we call exploratory drill. You watch them and put their nose down into your skin. Say, have as much as you want. And then they take the nose out again, and they walk a couple of steps somewhere else, and they put the nose down a second time. And they're still not happy. Some of those mosquitoes in Thailand are just so selective. It's so hard to satisfy them. It's all the same blood. It will taste the same. Just take some from here and get out of here. So I know that mosquitoes do take advantage of kind monks. But anyhow, I've done that before, and after 3 or 4 exploratory drills, they find out which one they like, and then they drink, and then they leave you alone. But anyhow, it's the idea of that kindfulness. If you're kindful to this moment, your body relaxes. After it relaxes, it disappears. It doesn't disappear because the mosquitoes have eaten it all. It just relaxes so much that the outermost petal of lotus, your body, opens up and you see what's inside. And inside this body is, your mind. And with part of the mind, there's so many different layers of the mind. I say one of the first layers of the mind is like time. And when those layers of petals, things about what happened this morning, what's going to happen this afternoon, what's happening now, that kind of opens up. You go into the center of time. What is the center of time? Now. And it's beautiful to go to the center of time called now. Because now is so easy. Future and past is where all those problems lie. In the future, you have to wonder where you're going next, what you're going to do next, what you're going to have for lunch, what you had for lunch before in the past, and it just gets all complicated. Right now, what have you got to decide? Nothing. You're free. Nothing to do right now. You're on a retreat, it's all been organised. I love retreats because sometimes you think, my goodness, what am I going to have for lunch today? I really don't know. What do I need for lunch today? I don't know. It's so easy being a monk. I go to the place where I have lunch, they've got a plate, and they've got this metal foil on the outside. I haven't got a clue what's underneath. Most days. It's a nice surprise. Do you know what you're going to have for lunch today? It's just so great. You eat enough and you'll be fine enough. But anyway, when you go in to the present moment, don't worry about the future, don't worry about the past. You're just in this present moment. It's so simple. Do you have to plan for the future? Every time I plan for the future, I always realize that however I think it's going to be, it's always something else. It's one of the reasons why when I see on a newspaper people tell me that the government got it wrong. They tried to predict and plan for the future, but it never happened. I feel so sorry for the government because no one knows what's going to happen next. It makes life really interesting. Would you like to know what's going to happen next week? Would you? If you could trust me and I know what's going to happen, would you want to know? Of course not. Because that's what life is. The uncertainty of the future and knowing you can make it through. And just the interest it gives you to life. The challenges which come unexpectedly from time to time. Certainty is where you get bored and depressed. So anyway, you go into the present moment. Basically, it's going beyond the time right now. I love just even sometimes doing that. Okay, just when I give a guided meditation, let's all get into this present moment, really now. Right in the center of it now. You don't know what you've been doing the last moment. You're never going to worry about what you're going to do next or what's going to happen next. Next does not exist, it's a fantasy. Now is the only time you ever have. Right now. You give it such importance that everything else vanishes, really vanishes. The past is just totally disappeared. Have you ever noticed when you try and remember the past, you never remember it accurately? You remember what you want to remember from the past. You know what actually happened. Even a moment ago, and this moment right now, is the only truth you can ever have. So you go into this layer of petals called now. And the next thing which you do, you go into this layer of petals, right inside the now layer of petals. There's even more refined now, called silence. In silence, you don't have enough time to describe something. What do you want to describe something for? You're wasting the experience. Years ago, when I was still a layperson, I went into Nepal. I thought I'd go and see some nice monasteries, but what I ended up doing was just enjoying trying to see the Himalaya mountains. You know what I did? I was pretty stupid in those days. But I went in the winter, in the rainy season. In the rainy season, you look to the north, and it was just clouds. Clouds, clouds, and clouds. So I never saw the Himalaya mountains, even though I was in Nepal, and in some of the northern parts of Nepal as well. Then one day, I was exploring the north in a post office van. And then the post office driver stopped for lunch. Myself and his two Americans, there was a hill close by, and just for fun, let's walk up the hill. So we walked up the hill, and as soon as we got to the top of the hill, the clouds parted over the Himalaya mountains. You could see the whole breadth of them. Oh, that was stunning. And this is one of the main reasons I went to Nepal, to see this beautiful stretch of mountains called the Himalayas. And as soon as that happened, the clouds parted. You know what I did? I turned around, ran down the hill because I forgot my camera. And as soon as I got the camera out of the car, I ran up the hill again. And as soon as I ran up the hill, as soon as I got to the top, this is honestly, it could have been faked, but it's real. The clouds closed again. And those two Americans, they told me, "Where'd you gone? The view was magnificent." They managed to see the Himalaya mountains for about 40 minutes. And as for me, I spent those 40 minutes running down to get a camera and running back up to capture that view. And because I couldn't capture it, I lost everything of it. Why do we want to capture great memories? Can't we just enjoy them and then let them go? That's what I discovered through being in this moment and learning how to be silent. A lot of times you can't capture things. Some of the most amazing experiences of your life, they happen. You're there to witness them. You can't record them. They go. That's life. And I'm glad they go. Because when they go, something else even more amazing happens. So these are where we go deeper into the lotus flower of our body and mind. Go into silence. And honestly, I don't know why more people just can't enjoy that silence. I already told you in an earlier talk, as a monk, when we eat, we usually eat in silence. Because we eat silently, we don't talk. That often means we can enjoy the taste of the food. If you're talking, what are you paying attention to? The talk, the words, or the food? So that's why I encourage you. Even here, are you allowed to talk at lunch? Here? Even if I was, I wouldn't. I prefer just enjoying the food. It's not just enjoying the food. If you can taste more of the flavors of the food, which all the people who volunteer to make the breakfasts and lunches for you, they really try hard to make it tasty. And if you can taste it, much more saliva, bile and other stuff which is needed to digest the food actually comes out of your body. Your digestion improves if you enjoy your food. Now, Xiaopo, Amy, well, you've seen me eating so much. Honestly, do I really eat a lot? You're saying no. You're being honest? Actually, I'm surprised too, because other monks eat much more than I do. I do not eat much, but I enjoy the food. I eat silently. So the same amount of food which another could eat, I digest more of it. That's why I get bigger and bigger and bigger. If you could talk to me or crack jokes when I'm eating food, then I wouldn't digest so much. It's just a natural process of how this body works. But anyway, going back, when you're silent, you're going deeper into your lotus flower. And as you go deeper into lotus flower, into silence, one of the next things which happens surprises you. You can experience your breath, the breath layer of petals. I remember there's one of my friends, a good meditator, who's also a very, very good I think he's a psychologist or psychiatrist. He does actually both stuff. But anyway, he had an argument with him for years. Not like an argument like most people have arguments, raising your voice, like a discussion. Because I always said one of the best ways to do things like watching the breath is don't go looking for it. Let it come to you. You know the donkey and the carrot thing, or donkey and the jury. If you don't go chasing it, it will come to you eventually. And that's how I watch the breath. Because when I'm getting into that silence, you get really silent. The next thing you notice, that layer of petals opens up. And you experience your breathing. When you experience the breathing that way, you never go looking for it. I'm being honest with you. I'm not making it up to make the talk sound good. I never go looking for my breath. I make peace, be kind. I just be still, go into my lotus with kindness. And then the breath is there. It's one of those petals inside. And when you actually let the breath appear, rather than go looking for it, it's always far more peaceful and attractive. Deeper in the lotus, you find the more delightful petals, the more beautiful, the more fragrant. And this is what we do. So that's how I watch my breath. I wait for it to come. My body is ready, mind is ready, and there it is. So what do I do next? You have the breath layer of petals. You just watch it. It's quite satisfying. You don't need to do anything. I never look for progress, because progress is going on to the next lotus flower. Stay in this one. See what's inside the breath. See what happens when you stay with the breath. It never remains the same. When you go inside it, you see this beautiful light inside the middle of the breath petal. And I found that so useful for people to understand. Many people sometimes get nimittas, they don't know how to keep them there, they disappear. Or they starting to get a nimitta, but they think, oh my goodness, I've lost the breath, I'm supposed to be aware of the breath. How do we solve that problem? If you can visualize the meditations, layers of your mind opening up, going deeper inside, Then there's a stage where you can see the breath very easily, naturally. And it starts to open up, and inside you see a beautiful light. What should I pay more attention to? The light or the breath? And the answer is you don't make a choice. Just become as peaceful as you can. And if you have enough peace, the petals open up even more, and your breath vanishes. And all you're left with is this beautiful light. You don't do anything. You allow this process to grow like the flowers grow. You don't try and speed it up. There's only 1 or 2 days of retreat left. I better get going quick. No, that stops you. And then when you see that beautiful light and the breath slowly vanishes away, you're inside. When you see that beautiful light, remember I said beautiful. If you just see a light and it's not beautiful, it's usually not the real thing. This is when you really start to get happiness coming up, joy coming up. This is when piti sukha gets very strong. The deeper you go in the lotus, the happier it looks and feels. And deep inside that lotus, which is you find the beautiful light. When people say you've got that light already, you just need to go deeper in to see it. That's pretty true. When somebody says you've already got jhana, you just need to go deeper in to recognize it. There's some truth in that. But if you don't experience it, it's not going to be as useful for you as it should be. So you keep going deeper in. Inside the breath is the nimitta. And that light, you just leave alone, let it be stable. Enjoy. Even being aware of a nimitta, goodness gracious, that blisses you out. It's some of the strongest happiness you've ever experienced. And it's interesting, it's weird, those lights are strong and they're not like normal lights. Please enjoy them. And then, what's going to happen next? After a while, don't know how long, you don't disturb anything or do anything. The mind goes into those lights. Right? The lights open up, the nimittas open up, and inside the nimittas, the next layer which you experience, first jhana. Now you're really rocking. I don't mean moving, I mean you're really getting into the meditation. This is what the Buddha taught. When somebody asked Venerable Ananda, after the Buddha had passed away, what type of meditation did the Buddha praise? And that's where Ananda said the Buddha only praised 4 types of meditation. First jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. If you experience one of them, you'll know why. This is meditation on a totally different level. Blissful, peaceful, deep. You're going so deep inside the lotus, the other parts of the lotus, like your body, things outside, kind of fade into insignificance. Yes, you've got family, yes, you've got business, yes, you've got a monastery or monasteries to run. They're nowhere near as important as the experience of these deep meditations. When you can experience these deep meditations, then you're really happy, effortlessly, easily. Now you're understanding why the Buddha became such a famous person. The Buddha was just a monk with few possessions. He never invented like a car or a computer or a website. But he knew that meditation, he taught that, and that was incredibly powerful. And that's why it's remembered to this day. These are powerful states of mind. And if you're in the second jhana, what happens? If it's stable enough, automatically your mind goes inside the second jhana. You know what's inside the second jhana? Third jhana. What's inside the third jhana? Right in the middle, right in the center. The fourth jhana. What's right in the middle of the fourth jhana? The first, what they call immaterial attainment. Inside the first immaterial is the second immaterial. Inside the second, the third. Inside the third, the fourth. What's inside the fourth immaterial state? Inside that is the cessation of all that's experienced or perceived. That quality of mind called experience or perception ceases, stops. Then what happens? Then later on, depends on either if you made a resolution to come out at a certain time or you haven't, then you start coming out. How do you come out of these deep states of meditation? In the state of cessation, you come out to the fourth immaterial. In the fourth, you go to the third. In the third, you go to the second. Your lotus flower is open up all the way. Now it closes layer by layer. The fourth jhana, then the third, then the second, then the first, then nimitta again, and then the breath. That's a way of meditation, learning how to open the lotus that is you. I hope you understand. I've said that many times, and it's one of the wonderful ways of explaining what this meditation is. And where's the next stage? And how do you get to the next stage? You don't get to the next stage. It's inside where you already are. If you can see that and understand that, it helps your meditation progress enormously. You don't need to go anywhere, change anything. Just go inside what you already have. Okay? Okay. Now I'm going to go inside the question box. And then afterwards we can start the interviews. How does one progress from jhana to sotapanna? You don't progress, you ingress. You don't go on to the next stage. You go inside, deeper inside, more inside. Progress from jhana to sotapanna. When you have all those experiences of jhana, which are like otherworldly, you can't not contemplate them. These are powerful states of mind, and you can recall them very easily. So often when people have an experience of a jhana, you're like, what the heck was that? It's powerful, the biggest experience you've had. And of course, you remember it clearly and you contemplate it, you explore it. And the next thing which you need, they say, is this thing called paradagosa, the words of another, advice of another, who has also been and experienced it. Look at what the Buddha said. And the Buddha said that because you see things disappearing, you're existing beautifully without any body. The body will come back afterwards. You have the opportunity to know what the body really is. That similarly I said, if you're a fish, you can never understand what water is. You're in it. It's there for you all the time. Just like this body. Do you understand what this body is? It's always there for you. But when you get into a jhana, you go deep inside, you actually depart from this body. And that's the other thing Even in the second jhana, you depart from this thing called will. And that's really weird, to be experiencing, fully aware, but no will, no choices there. And see later on that this thing called consciousness, or let's call it knowing, gets weaker and weaker till it disappears, and you're perfectly aware. Maybe it sounds weird, that's what happens. It's not progress, it's a natural progression. And you don't do it. That's the other important thing. How do you progress? You don't. It's like the wisdom grows, naturally, like a flower grows. Does the flower ever decide and go and see its mummy flower? Mummy, 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 I've got so high. How do I progress? To open my petals so I can germinate, whatever it is. You don't ask like that. It's a natural process. Please tell me if I'm doing it correctly. It's no fun if I tell you you're doing it correctly or not. Can't you find out for yourself? By seeing how it works. A lot of times, it was wonderful to have had an Ajahn around. You could ask him these questions. What do you do if you haven't got an Ajahn around? Ajahn Brahm goes back to Perth or somewhere else. How can you check your meditation progress? You can actually feel just what's it like inside when you get into deep meditation? Can you feel that bliss? Do you feel separated from the world, the five senses? Can you hear? Does it give you a good effect afterwards? What I call like the afterglow of deep meditation. Are you really happy? You get to see things, wise things, which other people just can't see. Does your mind get as easily irritated as it usually did? There's so many ways you can check that your meditation is really working. And other people can usually see it even better than you. When any unpleasant thought and feeling come, I give some attention to stay with it while still aware of my breath. To be kindly also say, I love you. That's a nice thing to do. Is that necessary? I just answered before that. Work, is that necessary? Not necessary, but it's good. After 5 to 8 breaths, I go back to breathing. If unpleasantness persists, I go back to stay with it again, back and forth. Does that unpleasantness last? Everything is supposed to be impermanent. Sometimes after a while, I don't go to the breath, I go to silence. So all those thoughts vanish. I love actually letting thoughts disappear. It gets so peaceful. When you say you have a wandering mind, just stay with it. Oh yeah. Does this mean just observe it without indulge and push it away? Correct. Your mind is changing its meditation object. Now it may be imagining lunch, but make sure you're there in this moment with that imagination when it's happening. It's another way of looking at it. And after a while, if you're with it, you see more of it. And if you're with it and see more of it, you say, what on earth am I wasting my time with this for? Then it disappears much more easily. If you're trying to get rid of it, it can fool you. You're not seeing it clearly. When you see it clearly, you see what it is. What am I doing that for anyway? What do you really want? Once, a long time ago, but I like this story, so why I keep repeating it. A long time ago, I had one of my friends. He was a monk, disrobed. And I thought to myself, do I ever want to disrobe? And then I kind of thought, maybe if I saw that I was a heterosexual, if I saw a girl and she was really, 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 really beautiful, would that be worth disrobing for? said, hang on, not just someone who's beautiful. She'd have to be really rich, so I didn't have to go to work. She'd have to be very, very peaceful, so she would never argue with me. And she would never sort of get angry. And then I thought, hang on, you're asking to find a nice arahat woman who's very beautiful. But if she's beautiful and she's an arahat, fully enlightened, so didn't have any anger, then she wouldn't be interested in me at all. So it's pretty hopeless. The sort of girl that I would like to have in this fantasy would have no lust. You can't have no anger and have lust at the same time. So if your wife, those of you who got a partner, gets angry at you, I wish I could find a woman who never gets angry. But then she wouldn't have any lust with you either. So it's a waste of time. So basically I thought it's a hopeless. I should have realized this a long time ago when I was a young man. Any girl who has lust also has anger. So you can't have one without the other, guys. So I prefer to have neither. Much more peaceful. Is that okay? Okay, maybe that's my argument. For years I often procrastinate to go do my sitting because I still couldn't enjoy it. Excellent, thank you for that, because that's a great insight there. If you enjoy it, you can't procrastinate. You can't help yourself but do some more meditations. You love it. I find it boring and defeated as not seeing any progress. Boring, my goodness. Honestly, meditation is the most beautiful thing I ever discovered. And sometimes you have a choice. Can you tempt me out of meditation? So you give me $1 million. No, it's $1 million nothing. It says $1 billion. A brilliant mansion. Not just one lady, but a whole harem of gorgeous, beautiful women. I used to ride motorbikes and a fleet of motorbikes. Would that stop me meditating? Actually, no. I'll just leave it all alone and go meditate. It's much more fun. Honestly, I really enjoy it. Sometimes I call myself a meditation junkie. That's fair. I get so much joy and happiness, peace, energy, and fun for meditating. And I think I'm also getting old. I should meditate so much more for the rest. But you've seen me. How many times over the last week you've seen me get really miserable? Or the last year, the last 2 years, 10 years. When was the last time you saw me miserable? You know, sometimes I try and pretend to be miserable. And I can't do it. I kind of check myself out. You know when you have photographs, sometimes I try and pretend to be a really upset monk and angry. You can't do it for very long. Maybe a couple of seconds, that's all. It's fake. I'm enjoying myself. The more I understand suffering, the more fun I have. But I love Dhamma talk and can listen for a few hours, everything that have helped me reduce some defilements in daily life. Should I let go to stop meditate altogether? If you let go, you do more meditation. Just letting go is how to meditate. And after a while you let go. It smells so wonderful. It tastes so delicious. It feels so beautiful, like the touch of the most refined fabric. Have you ever touched like flowers, the petals? And sometimes they can touch, you can feel them, so just amazing. I don't know the right words to say this, but silky, smooth, and it's a live thing, this flower petal which you're touching. Sometimes I like doing that as a monk, experimenting and touching things in nature, just touching them and feeling them as fully as I possibly can. It's delightful. One of the nice things about being a monk is that I find I can have the time to do that. And also when I do it, no one thinks I've gone crazy. If you do that as a layperson for too long, they probably want to take you to be interviewed by a doctor. There's some things which people aren't allowed to do, which I get away with. When you're feeling a flower, what's the texture of a petal? Feel as fully as you can. Okay, better. The four great elements, earth, wind, fire, and water. Is it necessary to meditate on the elements when doing walking meditation? No. I like giving one-word answers. You can't misunderstand them. For the first time, yeah. You know, when I was a young monk, I would get sort of embarrassed to yawn during a talk. Well, it's nature. I'm an old monk now. For the first time, I experienced stillness and feel so easy to breathe. Excellent, well done. That gave a contest when I also can experience how my default status, like a vibrating machine, the vibration of my body suddenly stops. Have I been bearing this tension and agitation all my life without knowing how it's torturing me every second? Quite likely. It's amazing that when you start to get still, your mindfulness really increases. When your mindfulness increases, you can experience some things. Why do people worry about what other people think of you? No one knows exactly why I do what I do. Only me. You know, sometimes my robe falls down a little bit and they can see my nipple. Ajahn Brahm, you're not being properly dressed. It's not my fault. I've got a big body, it's up here. And my goodness, you go to an Australian beach and you see that all the time. Why? Because I'm a monk. I've always got to keep it covered. You see it on a baby or young men. And people are working on building sites too. It gets so hot in Australia. Sometimes you just have their trousers on or shorts on and they don't have anything on the top at all. Come on. Give me a break. Do Ajahn Brahm. I'm sorry, you made me laugh now. Can you tell me the daily routine of a bhikkhuni in your monastery? Bhikkhu or bhikkhuni in your monastery? I heard they stay in small huts and they are very tough. Oh yeah, I'm really tough. No. You stay in small huts because they're easy to clean. What do you want a big hut for? Just as long as it's long enough to lay down to sleep, when you're tired, and it's quiet enough that you can cross your legs or sit on a chair to meditate. You have a clock there to try and make sure you get in time for any appointments you have. That's all. What more do you need? The toilets. For a lot of the time, and still monks do this, and I really encourage them. They just go and urinate outside in the forest, just like the kangaroos do. Just like your ancestors used to do. Sometimes even you might do today in the forest. And you learn all these tricks even defecating. Towards the end of his life, we were kind of shocked, but we never said anything. When Ajahn was in a meeting and it was pouring down with rain outside, so he took a little spittoon. He went into the corner, squatted down to defecate. It all went into the spittoon very easily. And some monks giggled. Some other monks thought, that's a good idea. I wish I could do that. It's only like a bodily process. What's the big deal with it? We just got the conditioning, the habit. We should only go to the toilet in private. Why? It was pouring down with rain outside. So Ajahn just did it in the corner of the hall. Was that gross? I thought that was brilliant. I heard they stay in small huts. Yeah, we stay each in our own hut. For me, in my own cave. Why do you stay alone like that? Because it's so peaceful. You get lonely. Oh no. I enjoy solitude. You don't call it lonely, you call it solitude. I enjoy my own company. I enjoy the peace of seclusion. That's why you can stay without seeing anyone for months on time. And I never ever felt lonely. I can't understand why people feel lonely. Why do you need the affirmation, the comfort of others, when you have the whole universe to be alone in? Solitude is one of the beautiful benefits of being a monk or a nun. Just being with yourself and being happy. Last question I got here. What were the past life relationships between the Buddha and his first two disciples? Only one past life or was a few past lives? Sometimes because we've lived thousands of past lives. There were many sort of examples of the Buddha and Mahamoggallana and Sariputta. So many that in some of them the Buddha was not a wise person all the time before he was the Buddha. I already told one past life story of the Buddha when he was a monk under Kassapa the Buddha. And even that life, which was in this eon, it's not that long ago, and was criticizing the Buddha Kassapa, being a bald good for nothing. He never appreciated that the Buddha, he was not working, he was not a householder, but he was someone doing something far more deep and helping others. That's why many people look at you, the monks and the nun in front of me, and they're saying, what are you doing? You're wasting your life. Because they don't understand what the purpose of a monk or a nun is. When they see a monk or a nun really teaching, getting deep into meditation, and they get quite surprised. I said already that you don't just get sort of a medal from the local university, You get medals from the Queen and others. They're really appreciating what you're up to. And then it shows you just the power of being a good monk or a good nun. What you can do with your life is immense. How you can teach others how to get into deep meditation. And not even deep meditation. They go through some problems in their life which no one else can help you with. As I said last night, how people who are being tortured, how you can really help them so they get through all of that. And that's an amazing thing, the gifts which that meditation can give you. So please don't worry about exposing the nipple. There's a goodness which you can do. That is far more powerful. Okay. So, yay! Oh, and no questions in there, which is good. Thank you for asking those questions. Oh, there's one in the back there, yes? Go on. Great.
Ajahn, I want to ask related the question, the example you say, the Hong Kong lady, they out of experience. Then why after he finished the operation, he said that why he can realize that the not good enough can get away. This is the first question. Second question is why the doctor did the operation, then after that he decided to do healing in another way. Okay.
I'll answer the second question first. Because as you know, if you get really sick, you have many doctors looking after you. The Dr. Brian Johnston, he was the GP. And GPs usually don't take the central part in operations. There you go to the specialists and the specialist surgeons. I'm not quite sure he was present at the operation, but he was certainly overlooking it. That was one of his patients. And so the other specialists, I'm not sure what happened to them, but I just know this one person who was a GP of this Anita Morajani. He was the one who just saw the operation, saw what was happening before, saw what was happening afterwards, the GP looking after her. And that really, really sort of shook him. He never expected to see that. So he changed his lifestyle. Still a GP, but moving to a nice quiet place where there's a good Buddhist monastery. It's now my GP. Is it my GP now? Because when I needed to actually to get these little certificates, you're free of COVID and stuff, to come to places like Penang, you needed to have a GP sign it, so he was a GP. And he also gave the injections at his clinic, the anti-COVID injections. I was really amazed by those. The first time that I had an injection with a reusable modern needle. Not reusable, sorry, a one-use needle for such a long time. The last time I had an injection was reusable ones 50 years ago. And they really hurt. And these ones, you can't even notice them going into your skin. It's just, just like a bee stinging you or something, that's all. It's just hardly anything. So just in my lifetime to see how easy it is to have injections these days. In those old days, that was really scary. But anyhow, so first of all, he was the GP. And how she knew this was similar to insight. The other doctors who were at the operation thought she was crazy. Thought that she was just come out of anesthetic. And her mind, her brain was not fully functioning, they thought. So when she said she was cured, I thought, oh, no way. But then she was right. As she was out of the operation, the recovery from the surgery of the operation, the tumours departed. They decreased and vanished. And how she knew that, it's like many insights. Sometimes you know, oh yeah, I can understand now. And the insight which sometimes, how do I know that? I had a deep meditation. For her, a deep experience inside a nimitta, which she called union with God. She could not think in that state. She could know without thinking. And then afterwards, she put that knowledge into words. And that's where thinking starts, where we put it into names and words. And from there, that's what she said. I realized that that cancer was because I was trying too hard to even improve, be even better. That can't be done. And that's one of the reasons I like telling the story. I don't know how many of you think you could be better. It's true, you could be better. True about me, I could be better. True about anybody. They could all be better when you realize you're good enough. Good enough. I like that words. Then you can relax. Then you don't get that stress, that tiredness which causes the cancer. And that was the case for her. And this guy, Brian Walker, that he decided to come over to Serpentine. And I'm not quite sure why. He hasn't actually talked to me and told me, I came over there because you were there and I wanted to be close to a good monk. But that's where he ended up. We didn't have a doctor resident in Serpentine before. It was growing to the point where it could provide enough work for the doctor. But early years, so there was no doctor in Serpentine. So he started a little practice and business there. Really nice man. Does that answer the question? Okay. Yes? Yeah?
Not everybody can meditate, even Buddhist or non-Buddhist. Because a lot of times we ask people to meditate at the same time. So my question is it necessary to denounce or willingness and environment like God?
I'm not quite sure if I understood it totally, but I do know that anybody can meditate. When people say they can't meditate, they miss out one word at the end, which is yet. They can't meditate yet. That's one of the motivational psychologist's methods. You haven't got there yet, but you will eventually. And this is what I've seen in all those years I've taught meditation. There's some people say, oh, they can't do it, there's something wrong with them, they haven't got enough good karma. And then I say, Angulimala, look at his bad karma. You can't do as bad as that. And he could not just meditate, get fully enlightened. There's much more to it than what you think of as abilities. Sometimes it's things like inspiration. You get yourself really inspired, you think, no way can I meditate. You're really inspired, and then, wow, that was deep meditation. Well done, me. I've never met anybody who deserves to say they can't meditate. They haven't done it yet. And it's amazing, some people like that, at the end of their life, they well, why not? Give it a try. And they give it a try with an open mind. And off they go. And they really have a wonderful time. I love that. Honestly, that's why I get a lot of joy and happiness when other people tell me they always thought they were hopeless. They were busy. They had kids, they had a husband, they had to work. They were doing so much. They're working so hard to look after all the monks who visited Penang, Chapo, and you think, oh, I can't meditate. No way. All those people who do such amazing sacrifices. Then eventually, the monk has gone back. They don't forget that monk. They remember the teachings he gave them. They sit down there one afternoon and they press all the right buttons. They start pissing out. They remember what needs to be done. So just like Venerable Ananda, and kind of, all people, Ananda, they thought he couldn't meditate. And then he managed to get through by just letting go. I'm just going to go to sleep. And then went right through and became Arahant. And so, all the people who've been looking after me in Chapo's apartment, I expect you to appear in Bodhinyana Monastery for one of the talks by coming through the keyhole. You don't have to come through the keyhole because you set fire to the place. And there's a fire ban at the moment in Australia. And each one of you, I haven't seen any person in here over the retreat to whom it's impossible. Get encouragement, and then you find you can. When I was a school teacher, I tried that experiment. I asked, I was teaching math in the school, and I asked the previous teachers, in all these 30 kids in this class, which kid could not do math? Have you ever thought, well, you can't do math? You can do like history or art or something. And this kid said, this kid over here came bottom of the class. And so it was a simple experiment. It was really unfair. Other kids could complain, and rightly so. I gave this kid extra special attention. I would go to his desk after I'd given a teaching on math, and I'd ask him, I said, did you understand that? He said, no, sir. I said, look, like this, like that. Oh, okay, I understand now. And I would always give him extra encouragement. Unfortunately, if you've got 30 kids in that class, you can't give the same type of attention to every kid. But I just wanted to find out, just because he thought that he was hopeless, was he hopeless? The reason I'm smiling, at the end of the exam, he came top. He thought he couldn't do math. He was not encouraged. That's why he didn't. You gave him that little bit of encouragement. So you can. And he did. That's the same with each one of you doing samatha, doing breath meditation, getting jhanas. One day, you'll be sitting there thinking, oh, do some meditation, nothing else to do. And you get these beautiful lights in the mind. You just remember, I heard years ago, just go into those lights, nothing to be afraid of. You get a jhana. By that time, I probably passed away a long time ago, so don't try and contact me. I know that will happen. Go for it. Yes, you can. Okay, so now we have some interviews. I'm trying to sort of do as many as I can. So please keep your interview brief if you can do so. And if you've had interviews before, maybe give a chance to those who haven't yet. Yesterday, I didn't do hardly any interviews in the afternoon. So I'm sure there's a backlog. I'll try my very best. So see the interviews over in the interrogation room. Please don't feel afraid. I've never hurt anybody in an interview room, ever. No one has any bruises. Okay, thank you.